and welcome to NFL Live. I'm Henry Dodds, here along with Stephen Recupero and Parker O'Brien. We're going to be talking NFL preseason predictions for this season's major awards and Super Bowl winners and Defensive Player of the Year, all that fun stuff. So let's start with our Super Bowl predictions. Obviously, last year's Super Bowl champions, the Seattle Seahawks. They beat the Denver Broncos in an absolute blowout. This year, Stephen, who do you think is going to take home the Super Bowl trophy?
I think the Eagles are going to make a very far run and eventually win the Super Bowl. Because last year, with Foles, they ended the season 7-1. And now that they've added Darren Sproles, even though they did lose Deshaun Jackson, it still makes their team better. Because now they have a two-back system, and which gives Nick Foles even more options.
Yeah, well, I think Super Bowl champions, you got to go with the Denver Broncos simply because this was a team that was so good offensively last year, but as you saw in the Super Bowl, struggled defensively, and they added some great parts on defense that'll make them the best team in the league. That's DeMarcus Ware, TJ Ward, and Aqib Talib. Now this is a very good defense to pair with the best offense in the league. I don't see how they don't win a Super Bowl this year.
Well, I agree with Henry. I think the Broncos are going to win. Only because they also added offensive players too, like Emmanuel Sanders, and they just added great defensive players as well, like DeMarcus Ware. And the Seattle Seahawks lost a couple players, like Golden Tate and Chris Clemens, and they probably those players are a reason why that they ended up winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Seahawks lost a lot of their role players this year. They still have their main core of elite players like Richard Sherman and Russell Wilson, but they lost some of those role players, like you said, like Chris Clemens and Golden Tate. And I think that will come back to hurt them a little bit. And I think the Broncos got better, whereas the Seahawks did get a little bit worse. So, speaking of the Broncos, of course, Peyton Manning, MVP last year. Stephen, who do you think will be this year's NFL MVP?
I think it's going to be Adrian Peterson. He's going to have another stellar season, but this year Peyton Manning's not going to have another record-breaking season like he did last year. I don't think he can do that twice in a row with his old age. But Adrian Peterson's going to have another breakout season.
Well, I'm going to go with a bit of a surprising pick here, and I'm going to say Tom Brady. I think the Patriots are primed for a really nice run here. I think they do lose in the AFC Championship game again, but I think it's much closer this year. They added Darrelle Revis, and I think this offense, with everyone healthy, if they have Rob Gronkowski back and Danny Amendola, Tom Brady is primed for a really great season this year. He could take home MVP honors in my book.
I think the MVP of the league is going to be LaShawn McCoy, the league-leading leader in rushing yards last year. He's great in the passing game, great in the rushing game. I think he's the best player on the Eagles and could be one of the better players in the league.
All right, so on to our third award that we're going to give out, or our second award in the third category, Defensive Player of the Year. Stephen, who do you think will be this year's Defensive Player of the Year?
I think it's going to be J.J. Watt. He wasn't as good as he was the year before last year, but I think he's going to have a great season this year. Even though not many people think Houston's going to be that good, he's still going to have a great season.
Well, in my opinion, it's a young star on the Arizona Cardinals, Patrick Peterson. Such a dynamic playmaker, going to get a lot of interceptions, and I think he could be Defensive Player of the Year this year.
My pick for Defensive Player of the Year is Richard Sherman. He helped that Seattle Seahawks team go to the Super Bowl. He's probably the best cornerback in the NFL, and he is great. He's just a great all-around player.
All right, so I'm Henry Dodds. It's been Stephen Recupero and Parker O'Brien. NFL Live, signing off.